Blue Dolphin here, and we're going to be getting into designing a hard disk layout with Linux. Let's get into it. All right, jumping straight into things here. So the introduction for our practice lab today, thanks to IT Pro TV, reads, "Welcome to the Design Hard Disk Layout Practice Lab. In this module, you will be provided with the instructions and devices needed to develop your hands-on skills." Awesome. All right, let's jump into this. So the first thing we need to look at are the exam objectives. So we're going to be covering how to install a boot manager, designing a hard disk layout, and then giving a scenario, and then a couple questions to kind of wrap it up. Awesome. They suggest an hour, but I think it'll be a lot quicker than that. So we have 3 devices in this lab. So we have our CentOS server and our Ubuntu server. So let's go ahead and start them up. We'll power on CentOS and we'll power on Ubuntu. Awesome, and we wait for that. Let's read what we have here. So we will click next to proceed to the first exercise. And exercise 1, design a hard disk layout. Partitioning a hard disk helps speed up file checks. Design enhanced data security and configure a wider range of file accessibility modes. In this exercise, you will understand how Linux lays out the directory structure on the hard disk. After completing this exercise, you'll be able to log into a Linux system and ensure the boot partition conforms to the hardware architecture. Our devices will be a Windows server and a CentOS machine. Awesome. So let's start with task 1. Let's ensure the boot partition conforms to the hardware architecture. So the way we're going to do this is by jumping into our CentOS server, which is, oh, there we go. We're going to open a terminal. We're going to do type su dash, and this is going to give us root access. Looks like I got the password wrong. We'll try one more time. There we go. We are now root. If we do who am I? Awesome. Let's clear the terminal, and then we're asked to change directory into the root directory, and we're then asked to list that existing directory. So we'll do that. We'll go cd, a quick way is just /, and we'll go ls-l. And you can see we're in the root directory. We can also do print working directory, and we are in root directory. Wonderful. Okay, let's clear the screen, and we're immediately going to be asked to find the total space taken by each of the directories. And we're going to be doing this with the du command. So if we take a little look at the du command with du help, we can learn that this is all about displaying the values of space taken up in a directory. And it looks like there's a couple flags here. So the first one is -h, and let's see what that does. So TAC-H prints the sizes in human readable format. Example, kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte. Awesome. The next flag of our du command is the max depth. Let's scroll to the top here. Oh. And it looks like max depth prints the total for a directory or file with tac all only if it is n or fewer levels below the command line argument. Max depth equals 0. This is the same as summarize. All right, so I think max depth is just going to give us like a basic level. So let's try it. Let's go. Let's just try man du for a second. I'm curious. Right, so the description does read estimate file space usage. I'm not sure what it stands for. Maybe directory usage? I don't know. But anyways, let's do du-h max depth equals 1. Wonderful, and you can see that our boot directory is 355 megabytes. That's by far the biggest one here. Oh, no, it looks like our var directory is the biggest one. Cool. That was fun. So we've seen how much space is taken up here with the du command. Let's go ahead and clear this. And it looks like our challenge description talks about finding the space used by each subdirectory as well as total space used by the main directory. Okay, so if we want to find space taken up individually by the subdirectories, then we would just simply call our command and call that directory. So we would use directory usage -h tac max depth, because let's see what happens if we do max depth 0. I'm curious what happens. I have no idea. Let's sudo that and see what happens. Interesting, nothing really. All right, what if we do max depth 2? Is that a thing? Okay, so it looks like it's recursive then. That makes sense. So max depth 1 is just show me the folders that are in front of me. Okay, let's talk about the /user directory in particular as per the lab description. And awesome, it shows us everything in there. So you can see we have everything we'd expect, really. Very cool. All right, let's clear the screen, and then we're going to talk about the swap partition. So the swap partition is a separate partition that moves items from computer memory to its hard drive. You can check for the swap partition and its space in Linux by entering the following command. Swapon tac-s. And you can see there dev dm1 partition size and what's being used right now, nothing, and priority. That is awesome. So this is, of course, all to do with the amount of RAM that's in the system. So here we have 2 gigabytes of RAM. All right, let's move on to step 8 and clear this. Our next task is to list all the partitions on the hard disk and their mount points. And the way to do this is by entering the mount command. So let's do that by going mount. And there is a lot going on here. Let me make this full screen. And we're going to type the mount command again. Not sure if that really helped at all. Okay, here we can see dev, SCSI disk A, B, and B2. Awesome. So what are we looking for here? So it says here in the output of the command that dev SDA1 is mounted on the boot partition. So SDA1 is always where our default hard disk is, at least the first one. And we could have several. We can see here it's on the boot and it's a type XFS. Then we have dev or SDB, which is just hard disk 2, and this is on ext4. Or sorry, this is on the data directory or mount point, and it's type ext4. Very cool. All right, looks like we have a lab assessment here. So if we hit next, it goes to the questions. All right, so let's go back and let's try this now with the Ubuntu machine. So we've done this with CentOS. So now we're going to try it with Ubuntu. So we'll open up our terminal in Ubuntu. And we'll go su, switch over to root and enter our handy dandy password. From here, we're going to jump into the root directory again. Oh, looks like authentication failed. Who am I? Well, I'm an administrator anyway, so I don't think it matters. So let's jump into the root directory with cd / and do ls tac-l. And you can see all our folders in the root directory. And doing print working directory shows us that we're in the root directory. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and try doing the disk. That's what DU stands for. I'm so silly. Disk usage, not directory usage. I'm assuming. Again, I'm just kind of winging this. So let's do du-h to print human readable format and do a max depth equals 1. And max depth equals 1 is just going to give us the information of the files and directories in front of us. It can't read any of them. That's actually quite unfortunate. Let's do sudo again. And switch to the root user. Unfortunately, authentication has failed, which is quite unfortunate, but that's fine. Let's just work through this anyways. So maybe our command without max depth equals 1 will work. I don't know. Let's see. Permission denied. Permission denied like crazy. Okay, well, that is a little disappointing, but that's fine. Let's see if we can use some of our other commands here. Let's do the mount command. Wonderful. So the mount command worked. So let's take a look here. Let's actually grep to see where our hard disk is. So we'll go mount. And then if you don't know, grep just searches for a particular string or pattern, and we'll do SDA. You can see dev SDA is on the root directory. That's the mount point, and it's ext4. A little different from our CentOS where it was not ext4. It was XFS. Very cool. Okay, let's now try the practice questions here. So jumping over to our practice questions, which of the following command is used to navigate to the root directory? Well, that's going to be cd and a /. Which of the following subdirectories are part of the root directory? I believe it's going to be temp, var, boot, home, and user, so all of them. Which command will allow you to find out the total space taken by each of the directories in a Linux system? Well, we know this. That's going to be disk usage -a tac maxdef = 1. The next question reads, which type of partition moves items from the computer memory to its hard drive? Well, this is the swap or the swap folder. Let's try swapon and see if that works on our Ubuntu system, and it does. It says, hey, here's your swap file. So if, for example, we had some bad processes that had memory leak issues, we would see our swap file really being taken up, and we might have to clear it if a binary is poorly developed in the sense that when you close it, it doesn't do memory cleanup. But I know Linux has the reaper, which is the out of memory reaper. So when Linux needs memory, it actually calls the reaper to get some of that memory back. And funny enough, in RPGs also stands for out of mana. Okay, next question. Which of the following command lists all the partitions and their mount points on a hard disk? Well, we know it's going to be mount. So we'll submit that in the summary. We'll submit our report. See if we got them right. We did. All right, that is wonderful. It does say here in the summary, you should now be able to ensure the boot partition conforms to the hardware architecture. Interesting. So we'll complete that. That's a wrap for this one. And then I'll see everyone in the next video on creating partitions and file systems.